Today we're going to get outside. It's like 31 degrees. It's going to be like really cold the next few days, and show some things. Most specifically, the how I have the Starlink set up and mounted to the roof, and it's glued up there. The glue I used is ALPHATHANE self-adhesive, which apparently is what Brinkley recommends and their vendor recommends for these rubber roofs. They might have a different type of roof now, but this stuff actually goes on kind of wet. I was a little bit surprised, but holy cow, does it hold. After I put it up there, I actually glued that up there while we were at Talona Ridge, and it was a little bit cold, and I gave it 48 hours to cure before we took it on a trip. But because it was a little bit cold, I wasn't 100% confident that it was set up as well as I wanted it to be. So I also put down some tape and made sure that thing's never moving now. So now we use the trio flat mount. So I'll show that to you, and you'll get to see more of the rig while we're doing that. Okay, now it wants me to restart. This is driver update. Yeah, so here's a preview of the office setup. So got everything going over there. Got my nice big screen, and I do a little bit of gaming, so set up over here for that too. And by the way, even though the T-Mobile 5G is much faster download and upload speeds than Starlink, Starlink has much lower ping. So I game on Starlink, but I do stuff like uploading videos on T-Mobile 5G whenever we have a good 5G, because that's blazing fast. Did a 4K 21-minute video last night. It took like 9 minutes to upload that thing. So just the T-Mobile 5G is quite fast. It usually tests around 400 megabit. So anyway, we got this rebooting. It's cold. Gonna put on the coat, go outside, move some stuff around, and show you how our interweb situation is configured. Have our T-Mobile 5G and our uninterruptible power supply right here, which I'll get into more detail in a little bit. But that's Sharon's office setup, and then here's my office setup. I put what this is on my Amazon account here, so you could see this EcoFlow Power Station River 3 Plus. That's actually very important because you want an uninterruptible power supply, in particular if you're particularly if you're using it for work. So let's go outside. Best truck in the history of the world. Keep in mind, this rig has been to the Arctic Ocean, crossed the Arctic Circle on 2 different parallels. There we go. Best rig ever. Obviously, there's going to be more talks about that as time goes on. Oh yeah, check out this suspension. Notice there's no leaves for a link rear suspension. Airbags all the way around. Don't even have all sides. Love that Kelderman. So this airbag setup has dryers, whole 9 yards, and there's the setup inside, which obviously I'm going to have to unload some things to show you. But once again, note the EcoFlow right here, which big fan of. We'll get this unloaded, show you where Starlink is inside of here, and pick it up from there. It's amazing how much stuff you collect. think after doing this as many years as we have, well, I guess we do have this down pretty good in terms of what we use. But yeah, it's like 31 degrees right now. But tomorrow it's supposed to be quite a bit colder and overnight. This is mostly a heat wave, honestly. By the way, this case here, that's the good stuff. Remember I mentioned in our intro video, we have all kinds of gear from, we've been doing this so many years. So I have all my power tools in here. That case made it to the Arctic Ocean and back and everywhere in between, rattling around in a tray hanging off the back of the truck. There's probably still Dempster and Dalton mud in that case. I don't think it'll ever get cleaned out completely. Heater's working. Got an empty container. Always good to consolidate stuff. Cat case. It goes on the electric e-bike. Wonderful case, by the way, when Sharon got her severe concussion, but she was on the bike, and the cat was in that, never moved. The case stayed with the bike, it didn't get crushed, luckily I guess, but alright, gonna show how this is mounted in here. Let's see what we got. Lights, camera, action. So you see the Starlink right there. I have a little bit of plastic behind it because when I put it in, I had also glued the screws because that backing plate is just some, there's a word for it, but basically it's plastic cardboard. It's not cardboard, it's plastic, but it's not super strong, right? It's not like it's wood or something. So the screws that are holding the mounting are also glued, so it won't come apart. And I did this in Kelowna, so this has been from Georgia to South Dakota, back to Nebraska, so it's staying. Yeah, and that cable is just dropped through the cable feed in the roof, and that worked great. I actually put a hose down the cable feed, a stiff water hose. Then I taped the Starlink cable on the end of it and then pulled it back up through. And that worked wonderful, didn't damage anything. Very simple. That drop is right next to the furnace and behind the fireplace. So if you pulled the fireplace out, which is pretty easy to do, I had to do it every 2 days the first 8 months we had this rig, so I'm pretty good at it. Long story, part of the electrical problems. Had to reset the converter every couple of days because it was always tripping and it wouldn't just reset itself. You had to hard reset the entire rig, pull all the fuses, put it all back together. What a nightmare that was. But anyway, so that's real easy to get to. You pull that fireplace and you can see right where your cable drop is, and then you just grab it, plug it all in. Now, this, as you can see here, is plugged into this EcoFlow. Why the EcoFlow, you may ask? Because uninterruptible power supply. There's a few things you want to look for with that. First and foremost, switching speed. It must be less than 10 milliseconds. And with the less than 10 milliseconds, the Starlink router and Starlink will not lose signal or reset. If it's more than 10 milliseconds, there's a good chance it'll cause it to have to reload and reset. So if you have like a multi-plus or whatever, those are rated around 20 milliseconds switch in UPS mode. And if they're in UPS mode with having to do basically some work for the pure sine conversion, it can be as much as 40 milliseconds. Well, your Starlink and your routers will reset if it takes that long. And so I've screwed with the generator, running off the generator with this thing on while Sharon's been on Zoom calls, right? No interruptions. Routers are great. It didn't matter if it was, because I have one of these for the Starlink and one of these for the T-Mobile, we always have reliable internet no matter which one we're using at that moment in time. So that's the first important thing when it comes to having internet on the road. So there you go. Now we'll go look at the install after I put all this away and shut this door because it's letting a lot of cold air in. All right, quick look at how we have this set up for cold weather before we start taking things apart, pulling out the ladder. So with this, just, you know, little buffer basically. Okay, first of all, without this, the face of this almost reaches ambient temperature outside. With this, it stays about 30 degrees warmer than it is outside, the way I have it set up right now. And part of that is just having this a little bit of a gap right here, because behind this wet panel, behind this control panel, it's usually 2 degrees warmer than it is inside the camper, which is fantastic, right? That won't freeze, obviously. So we set it up that way. Now, let's get the ladder out and show you how things are up top. Gotta go get the keys. That'll help. I guess we're seeing how all these batteries hold up when it's pretty cold. So it's about 30 right now, which isn't horrible, but cold enough. Oh yeah, there's stuff going on here. I get so many things to talk about, but I really hate these screw unscrew cables. So this you see that electrical setup? That's how you do it. And that way this watchdog gets to stay inside. Don't have to worry about that getting stolen. And I only use extension cords, basically, right? Because it's just a plug-in on each end, and that's kind of a permanent connection. So I'm not always messing with those pins, and it's nice and tight. That these plastic threads aren't getting stripped every time you take it on and off. Much better way to go. I should probably do a more thorough talk about that sometime, but for now, ladder. While I'm pulling out the ladder, one thing I didn't mention with that EcoFlow is, this is true whenever you're looking at that type of UPS system, which is also a battery backup, you want that to be not only less 10 milliseconds or less switch time, but you also want it to be a true pass-through. And that's really important, because what you don't want to do is have a UPS that charges the battery, drains the battery, charges the battery, drains the battery. You want a UPS that's smart enough to know, I got steady juice, send it straight to whatever's plugged in. And it's not perpetually cycling the charging of the battery, because obviously your battery will wear out a heck of a lot faster if it's doing a charge cycle constantly. So there we have it. Let's go up top, see what's going on. Holy cow, aluminum ladder, so cold. One of the I permanently mounted this for a lot of reasons, I suppose, but one of the most important ones is I really hate climbing up and down. And there we have it. That's a Starlink Gen 3 mounted with a trio flat mount. And it probably has what, I don't know, like 2,000 miles on it. Hasn't even moved a little bit. But as you can see, I paranoid taped it in addition to gluing it, but none of it is let go at all. And even flat mounted like that, I have not seen a difference in speed at all. I guess hypothetically pointing it is probably better, but flat mounting is not a problem. And there you go. That's the cap. Just drop right through it. So pretty easy. Let's see how this roof membrane is fairly loose. It actually looks better today than normal. This roof membrane looks better than normal. I'm pretty happy about that, I'll tell you that. It's good. So part of this whole thing with this Starlink permanently mounted to the roof and the EcoFlow uninterruptible power supply, we have internet going down the road, right? Because there's no problem for our devices to reach that Starlink router from inside the pickup. And this rig has a residential fridge by that, so we always have our inverter on going down the road running on the battery, which obviously keeps the Starlink powered. And with that EcoFlow plugged in, if there's a short interruption or whatever, it'll run quite a while just on the EcoFlow. But yeah, here we are in a kind of a parking lot. I mean, it's decent. We got full hookups. It's okay for what we're doing right now, just hanging out with family. So that's our Starlink setup, and basically our interweb setup, because T-Mobile 5G too. You can see it right there in the window. Nothing fancy with that. Plug it in, turn it on. Works great. Later.